everybody, this is Becca from Empowering Pumps and Equipment. I'm very excited today to have Enel and Gita with MaxGrip with us, and we're going to talk about reliability-centered maintenance. But first, why don't you both introduce yourselves?
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Eno Abasonu. I'm a senior maintenance consultant with MaxGrip, and I have about 20 years experience in the field of maintenance and reliability engineering, and a lot of domain knowledge in this field as well. I've been opportune to work with clients like Shell, Atlantic LNG, Pemex, and a power generation company called El Paso Electric. So that's me.
Hello, I'm Gita Neethling. I'm also a consultant with MaxGrip, focusing mostly on criticality assessments and RCM studies. I've worked with clients from various industries. I come from an operations background in the chemical industry, so I've seen both sides of it and can appreciate how meaningful a good maintenance strategy is. So thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to learn from you both today, and let's just dig right in.
All right, so before we get started, I'll also introduce MaxGrip a little bit, who we are. We're a global organization specializing in asset performance management. We have offices in the Netherlands, Malaysia, and here in North America, we operate out of Houston. Like myself, many of our consultants have past industry experience, and as a company, we also serve a wide variety of clients. You can see from the logos on the screen the wide variety of industries that we serve. So combining that firsthand experience and exposure with the knowledge base we have as a company at MaxGrip, it sets us up to provide our clients with the tools they need for organizational change. And very exciting, this was just announced, we've actually been recognized by Verdantix as a leader in the market for our experience in organizational change. So that change can come in a variety of ways. I won't spend too much time on this, but this just showcases some of the services that we offer our clients and have experience in. So it can be anything from maintenance and reliability engineering, such as risk-based inspections, root cause analysis, reliability-centered maintenance, all the way to road mapping Industry 4.0 and everything in between. But for today, we're going to focus mainly on maintenance and reliability and how RCM can help you go from reactive to proactive. So what is RCM? It is a key component of risk-based maintenance. It offers a strategic approach to identifying critical systems and equipment, and then identifying specific failure modes for these systems and equipment to understand the impact that it would have on the process. So when we're doing this assessment, we look at the impact on environment, safety, operational, as well as cost. And then understanding this impact allows us to prescribe a tailored maintenance strategy that then allows the client to shift their efforts to more value-added activities. Why is this important? As I mentioned, by better understanding the impact, we can put more emphasis on value-added activity, which improves asset reliability if we're only servicing equipment, or if we're servicing equipment before they're failing. So that also reduces downtime related to failures. And it builds on each other. So this then frees up maintenance resources if they're not always just dealing with failures. And then another part of RCM is reducing non-essential PMs for lower criticality equipment, which even further frees up maintenance resources and leads to cost savings. And so obviously the best way to measure the value of something isn't cost savings, but I've also worked with clients where they're looking for RCM for more of a compliance aspect. And so then our main focus is on ensuring a robust strategy for all of the safety critical equipment. So these are just some of the tangible ways that RCM can help, but there's also intangibles. If you look at the cost savings and increasing safety, you're also creating a better work environment, and you'll just see the benefits grow. So now I'll hand it over to Eno to talk a little bit more about the how.
All right, thanks, Gita. And so RCM is a structured process with various steps. And these are the steps we use when we help our clients deploy this methodology for their process. And it starts with setting the scope, which is about identifying which systems and equipment are in scope for RCM study. Assessing the risk is about doing and performing the criticality analysis. And then treating the risk is identifying the right maintenance strategies for these equipments. And with the strategies developed, the next is to implement them and execute them using the CMMS or EM system the client has. And while executing, the next phase is to make sure we have the right KPIs to review the performance of these strategies. And we tend to liken these process steps to the plan, do, check, act cycle that is normally used in continuous improvement initiatives. And if you liken that, for RCM, the plan phase is when we set the scope, we assess the risk, and we treat the risk. The outcome of this plan phase, like I said earlier, is the maintenance strategies. And this feeds into the do phase where we are implementing and executing the PMs that come out from these strategies. And the check is reviewing using the KPIs, right, to check how well these strategies are performing against targets. And the act is we expect that when our clients do their reviews and checks, they analyze the performance and they see ways to continuously improve. And so it's a cycle where it's a continuous improvement process. And some of our clients actually take RCM as a living program. The outcome of it is not a casting stone. It's expected that as the facility grows old, as business objectives change, that they would go back and review the strategies and make sure that they're still fit for purpose. So if we go into details, what does setting the scope mean? It means it starts with selecting the system that we want to focus the RCM study on. And this is done mainly by the client. And there are different approaches to which system to start with or to put into the RCM study program. We've worked with clients that the basis for system selection was based on bad actor management. And that is a case that we're going to present today about. And so it might be based on which equipment is the most troublesome, for example, in quote. And it also, we worked with client that the system selection was also based on turnaround plan. And they wanted to use RCM as a means to generate turnaround scope for their facilities. And so we tackle that based on which equipment or which unit is coming first on the turnaround list. So whichever approach, the client assigns the system to study, and we pick up these systems and we work with the client to define the functions and the functional failure for the equipment. And the reason why we do that is to really understand the importance why these equipment were installed and the purpose for the process, and if there are any performance standards they are supposed to meet. This helps us to move into the next phase of criticality analysis, because by understanding the importance and when they fail, you could, appreciate the impact it has on the business objectives like cost, environmental impact, safety impact, sometimes reputation, right? So with the criticality analysis in place, we would come up with a better objectively, generated maintenance strategies. For every equipment as well, we also do a failure mode and effect analysis, FMEA. We identified potential failure modes and how they also impact the business objectives. Working with the client to do this analysis and failure modes also help with making them own the whole process as well, because we don't really sit down by ourselves to do all this. And we sit with the client as well to identify the right maintenance strategies, having come up with failure modes and criticality analysis. And we develop the maintenance task for these strategies. And for those tasks that need spares, we also identify the critical spares to be used for the maintenance task. Sometimes we work with clients that have generic maintenance strategies for low to medium critical equipment. And so they agree with us that for those critical equipment, there is really no need to sit down with the subject matter experts to go in detail to analyze failure modes and recommend, very fine-tuned maintenance strategies. So we just apply a generic maintenance strategy template, which sort of saves time for those low critical equipment. With the strategy is identified and the task and dispersed, the next phase is to implement. And most of the time, the outcome, the strategies that we come up with are not in a format that is easily uploadable into an EAM system. So this phase of implementing is setting up those strategies in a format that's we describe the job steps, and we add everything that is needed to do the job, including steps like permit to work, log out, tag out, scaffolding, the resources needed. So that's developing the technical job steps that will be uploaded in the EAM system. Also, before we implement uploading to the system, we do some optimization of the PM task. Workload leveling is about making sure that the PMs are generated year over year with the same amount of workload. It helps with planning, and it helps with planning the resources and budgeting as well. We don't have spikes in between years. And also we do things like optimizing of this task. If we know that some PM tasks will be done on the same system around the same time, we'll try to group them and plan them and schedule them around the same time. So this is done before we upload, and at the end we upload them into the EAM system. The optional training there is because sometimes our clients, while implementing RCM, also having a new EAM system. So sometimes if it's a system that we are helping them deploy as well, we provide training for the roles and for the individuals that need training, like planning and the supervisors and even the technicians as well. And it could also be a training on the new way of working, of the new way of, some clients, this is the first time they're doing preventive maintenance strategy. So if there's a need for training for a particular role, we provide that as well. And ultimately for the implementation, it's to plan these strategies and schedule them so that work orders would now be generated for the execution phase. And so we move to the execute phase, where the jobs are generated as work orders, and the technicians, the people to execute the PMs, and pick them up and execute. While that is an ongoing process, we have KPIs that will be set up objectively with the right targets and benchmarking to check how well these strategies are performing. And an analysis is done at a particular frequency. And the idea is that the outcome of an analysis should be maybe an update to the strategy. And then the cycle goes back to the treat phase, where we update the strategy and we implement, and it keeps going on as a cycle for continuous improvement. And here we have a range of strategies that a client can adopt. And we always say you want to put, your focus on you want to know those failures that have a high impact on your business objectives or business risk. And you would it's wise to want to know the likelihood of when those failures would occur, so that you have insight and you'll be able to predict when those kind of failures will occur, so that you sort of eliminate the impact that you are expecting on your business. So we have we have from run to failure to predictive maintenance, and we prescribe and recommend run to failure strategies for those low risk equipment, where when they fail, they have little or no impact on your business objectives, and really there's no need to spend resources and time doing maintenance on them, all the way to more insights. It could be condition-based maintenance or predictive-based maintenance. And predictive maintenance is more online. It's more installing sensors to give you real-time insight and condition of your equipment, and you could predict ahead of time, far ahead of time, when things are changing in your equipment and there's signs that it's about to fail. And then we could plan the maintenance work to restore the equipment back to the condition that it's supposed to be, thereby eliminating the risk of the failure that's would have occurred. Condition-based is time-based. The gaps in between is not real time, and that's the main difference. But both of them, top class as APM companies, people that are more on the proactive culture, do more of these kind of strategies, condition-based or predictive maintenance, to have more insight and more control on their equipment performance. when we do RCM, it starts with data, and it's good to have the accurate foundation data, because when we go into a facility, when the system is uh, identified, we collect data for that facility. We collect the current PMs that they're doing. We collect asset register. We collect maintenance history. We also collect drawings as well. And we've had clients where we have the drawings and we have as built and current drawings with all the equipment laid out, and we compare that to the asset register, and we see that they don't have all these equipment in their asset register, which is the asset in their EAM system. And I just mentioned that RCM, the application of it is through the EAM system. So if you don't have the right data, that means you would have incomplete RCM implementation, because not every equipment would have the strategies applied and there will be no work done on them. So having accurate foundation data is very important, and it builds now to having the right system and tools, because these strategies will be implemented using a system, and even your critical space will be managed through your inventory management system. So we have to have the right systems and tools in place, and having the systems and tools also works well with having a process to manage the whole thing. And we have processes like work management for the PM strategies and inventory management, and processes need to be defined with roles and responsibilities. What role would start the process? For example, let's take the work management. What role is going to initiate the work? Who is going to plan, and what are the responsibilities? What kind of access do they have? Do they have the right skills? The people identified, do they need training and coaching? Who is accountable? So we help clients set up reci charts. We also provide hypercare for those that need very hands-on training. And ultimately, KPIs also needs to be set. And because this sets the tone for what is important, what is monitored, what the leadership is looking at, and it helps to develop the culture and way of working in the reliability and proactive way. And all in all, the idea is to empower everybody to perform in this way of working, of thinking proactively and solving problems instead of always firefighting, being reactive. And so going back to the services we provide, we've seen how RCM, being in the maintenance and reliability engineering service, also ties into EAM and CMMS implementation, because the output of RCM has to be implemented using an EAM system. And we provide the service for some clients that don't have the right EAM system. We could help them deploy or help them start by selecting and seeing where they have issues and seeing what the needs are, and helping them deploy for those systems that we have the ability to implement and deploy for clients. It also could also lead to, now you have RCM, you've been doing PM strategies for a while using a system, you have data, and you want to see if you are actually in the right maintenance culture. We also provide the service of asset management improvement, where we'll come in and do an assessment and check, are you reactive, are you proactive, are you in the right journey? And if you're not, we help we help with developing a roadmap and help you deploy some projects that would help you in that journey of reactive to proactive. So RCM is just one service that can tie into different services that we help our clients. And I must also say that it doesn't have to start with RCM. We have clients that start with asset management improvement, where they call us to check what they are doing and where they are. And one solution could be to do an RCM. We've also had clients that they think they need a better CMMS system or EM system, and we start from there. So at whichever point the clients need, we are adaptable to help the clients meet the need at whatever stage they are in their culture. So we talk a little bit more about a client case, a success story that we help a client implement RCM to better improve their bad actor list. This is a client in the Caribbean. It's an oil and gas supermajor. It's an integrated gas operation with offices onshore and offshore facilities. And they had cases of bad actors, some systems and units that have been causing them a lot of production losses. And they felt they should implement RCM as a way of managing these bad actors and improving the reliability of this equipment. And they picked up one of the units actually, and they tried to do the RCM themselves. I think they found it beneficial because they wanted to continue, but they also faced the challenge of finding time, because I must say RCM can be time consuming. And they also had their day-to-day activities because these are maintenance, operation, reliability engineers. So they couldn't combine both of them successfully. That's why they looked for a company that is well known for RCM, which is us, MaxGrip. And also, they also wanted to make sure that the company is well versed on the APM software that they use to perform the RCM. And the software is called IMS, and it's owned by a company called Senesco. And we are very versed in that as well, because most of our clients in the oil and gas industry that we work with use this software. So it was sort of a very easy decision for them to go with us. And so we came in to the project and started with these steps that I've already talked about. And we went through the step 2 all the way to developing the job descriptions to be implemented. And this just shows that sometimes we go through the whole length with our clients, and we could stop at whichever point the client is capable of continuing. So we actually work and are flexible with working with clients at different capacities. And I've mentioned it earlier. When we go to do RCM, and particularly in this case, we worked with a cross-functional project team. We don't work by ourselves and produce an RCM strategy by ourselves. And so the client selected the system, and we work with the operations and maintenance and reliability engineer to define the functions and the performance standards and do criticality analysis. And then for this particular project, the equipment were we had some sophisticated equipment that some failure modes and strategies, the maintenance experts were not really comfortable, and they consulted the vendor rep a couple of times, and we had a direct line to the vendor rep to give us more insight technical wise on the equipment, on how they fail, what causes them to fail, and how can we make sure these failure modes are prevented or mitigated. And so and that's the beauty of RCM. The experts that know these equipment are consulted, and their inputs are put in to produce the right output for the RCM study. And so working together with the client also helped with making them take ownership of the process, because you could see we handed over to them at step 7. So working with them, they bought into the whole process, and they approved the outcome of it easily, and they were able to implement it and follow through to the end of the process. And we analyzed, we performed about 1,091 RCM analysis, out of which came up with new equipment case task of about 946. And this was presented to the client and was approved. And again, we submit everything to the clients, and they review it and they approve it. It's only those approved care tasks that are implemented. Out of the 946 care tasks, 67 were new preventive maintenance, and 158 tasks had frequencies reduced. So we reviewed the existing PM. So the way RCM works is when you recommend a strategy, we compare and look at what you're currently doing. If you're currently doing a PM strategy, a PM program, and so we check, are you currently doing some of this? So we don't implement something you're currently doing. Also, in this case, we found out that there's some tasks that are doing that the frequency can be decreased, mainly because we are now doing more condition-based maintenance, which frees up, there's no need to do this task as frequent as you're doing. and or also the failure history doesn't warrant the frequency at the rate that the PMs are being done. And in addition to that, we also deleted about 89 PMs, mainly because some equipment have been taken out of service. Again, this is the beauty of RCM, right? It makes you pause and look at your data and your strategies and your PMs, and just clean it up and have a very clean slate of data to be working with. For about 48 tags or functional locations, we also recommended spares that should be used for the maintenance activities. The value and the benefits that the client expects to gain from these is, so by improving the reliability, performing all these maintenance strategies effectively, they expect that they would have a 1% gain in production year over year. And this translated to about 2.3 million US dollars, which is really huge. And also, I talked about we deleted and reduced the frequency of some PMs. That translated directly to man-hour savings of about 50,000 USD in a year. And so this was a very successful RCM study, and the expectation was really impressive to the client. And the expectation is that as they tackle more of the bad actors with RCM, and these gains would even, and the benefits would even increase more. And we also want to highlight here that we have the full read on this client case in our website, maxgrip.com. If you want to know more, you could go there and you would see many other success stories of different approaches to asset performance journeys that we've helped our clients. And yeah, I will encourage you to go to our websites to read more about this. The key takeaway here is that with RCM, you could shift gears from being reactive to proactive. It plays a very important role in optimizing your asset performance through risk-based maintenance strategies, which is really targeted to the failure modes that are very typical and possible for your equipment to fail. And implementing this correctly would increase the reliability, availability, to make you be more in control of safety. Like Gita said, we have clients that their focus was more of safety compliance by making sure that those equipment are reliable and they would perform as expected. You're more in control of your safety, and generally having a more efficient and effective maintenance strategy and maintenance culture. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. I want to say thank you for listening to us. If you have any questions or you would like to contact us, this is our sales manager. His name is Alex Lomez, and you could reach him on his email here, alex.lomez@maxgrip.com. Once again, thank you.
One of the most interesting parts that you had mentioned, Enno, is about the adapting to the organization and really kind of going into the culture and the workings of the company. And I think that's a really important part. Aside, I mean, all of it's important, but I do feel like being able to recognize that every company is different, and they have different styles, they have different workers, and to be able to help with that aspect is a really it's a differentiator, I feel like, that is very important and not a lot of people talk about.
Thank you.
So I do have a few questions. One is, how does MaxGrip prioritize which assets or systems to apply the RCM approach to, especially when it's an operation that has numerous assets?
Yeah, so I can take this one. I think it really, I mentioned earlier that it's a tailored maintenance strategy when we go in and do an RCM. And so it really depends on the client and where they're starting from. So in the example that Enno provided, that was a little bit easier because they had a list of bad actors ready to go. They know what they knew what they wanted us to look at. So in that case, we had a preset list. But there are other times, so the client that I worked on or with recently, I mentioned it was more from a compliance standpoint that they wanted us to come in and do RCM, so they didn't really know where to start. And so at that point, we would start with a criticality screening. So just going through all of their assets, sitting down with the team, talking through it with them to kind of prioritize which assets would benefit more from an RCM. And so, yeah, it really depends where you're starting from, but sitting down and talking with the client, going through, I guess, what they deem critical, and then looking through the data to kind of validate that is a good starting point.
Gotcha. Yeah, it definitely makes sense to be able to see where they're at and what some of the things that they're wanting to do as well, and then being able to evaluate from there. So what are the common challenges organizations face when transitioning from reactive to proactive maintenance strategies? And specifically, you know, what do you guys typically help in addressing these challenges?
Yeah, so most of the time our clients call us and they know they want to improve, and they think that by just changing the strategies that they have, the maintenance strategy. So they ask us to do RCM for them. And then we start and they realize that, oh, it's more than just having a strategy. They face a challenge of having inaccurate data. They face a challenge of implementing the strategies. And they face the challenge of adopting this culture and making people to work the way they are, you know. So let's talk about the data. One of the services we provide is also to help build foundation data for our clients. And so for clients that we've actually, as we are going through identifying these inconsistencies, and we would now come up as a different sort of work scope to help clean out and make sure those data are in the system, in the right structure, and with the right information that is needed. So we do data cleansing and building of foundational data for clients as well. And for implementing the strategies, we also have services where we provide planning and scheduling support. And we help clients to take these strategies, put them and build them as job steps with the right steps and resources, the way it will be implemented in the system. And we work with their planners alongside with their technicians and gather all this information, because again, we are not the experts, right? We have to work with them, gather that information and implement them in their system. And we've also provided services like coaching and training for the process, for the different roles that is involved, because that's the change management is not really easy, changing the process and the way people have been working. And so we do a lot of those hand holding and training and coaching and support, stakeholder management. And also, it also sometimes is the leadership that needs to also reorient them, their thinking, and setting the right KPIs for them. So we do that part as well, where we help them whichever area that they face challenge. But those are the main challenges that we've seen that companies, our clients, experience when going through this journey.
Okay, yeah, you had mentioned that when you were talking as well about the trainings, and I do think that that is very important to be making sure that you are helping train the people so that they know what to be doing. And then even what you just mentioned with even like leadership and top level people, like they need to know it too. So all aspects of the working food chain can benefit from that training. So it's great that you guys have that option and have that to be able to support the companies.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get the workforce to commit to this new way of working?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to work with them from the very beginning, right? Because to be honest, everybody would want something easier for their day-to-day activities to be easier, to be more, to be able to plan and know what to expect, the day and the next 1 week and the next. So the idea is good, and I think what most clients lack is how to do it. So when we come in and we work with them to help them realize the benefit and the gains, and we are not imposing anything on them, and we don't we don't omit any role. The technicians are involved, the planners are involved, the schedulers, and even to the supervisors. So working with different roles to gather this information, and this is their data, this is their information. We're just helping them, put it all together and package it and implement it for them, right? And so that makes it easy for them to have a buy-in. And we also work with leadership because the I would say the lower workforce are always ready to adopt this. And what I've experienced is that leadership might tend to focus on something different, and there's a clash on priority. And so the adoption also has to, I mentioned again, the leaders also have to give this as a priority, the way of working as a priority, give people the room to do what is expected, the meetings, and if an RCA is needed, or troubleshooting, proactive ways of working has to be encouraged and recognized. People's contribution has to be recognized, going back again to managing the change. But I think it starts with working with everyone and making sure that people's contribution is carried along.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I had one more question as well. So when you were talking about reviewing the strategies regularly, do you have like a recommendation on how often people should be reevaluating their RCM strategies?
I've worked with clients that there is 5 years is 5 years. I would say between 5 to 10 years, right? I don't think it should be left without reviewing it after 10 years, because I mean, we are in the world we are in is changing. What is important today that makes your equipment critical might not be important in 10 years. And what wasn't important today, for example, maybe environmental issues that were not important today, 5 years might be very important. And those equipment that are installed, or maybe you don't have equipment installed for that. So I would say 5 to 10 years is a good time to holistically. Now, that's notwithstanding that as you are doing your maintenance, you have KPIs that are, measuring monthly KPIs, yearly KPIs. You could see failures that are happening, and you would say, oh, okay, this PM that we thought would prevent these failures is not that. That will still be happening, but holistically, especially when you're identifying critical equipment and the strategies, right? That's a more holistic approach. I think that should be done every 5 to 10 years to just make sure that the business objectives are still in line with the strategies that we are doing.
Thank you both for sharing your expertise with us. It's much appreciated, and definitely if people have any questions, they can reach out. And I appreciate you guys spending some time with me today.